We had a wicked sandstorm. It was just something I had never, ever experienced before. And I don't think I was quite prepared for that. It was like where you lose visibility just because the sand is, and the sand is blasting you so hard, like at 90-kilometer-an-hour winds with sand blowing at your bare skin. My shins were starting to bleed from the sand being blasted, like from being so sandblasted.
Wow.
Now we're moving on to part 2 of our Marathon Des Sables with Caroline Wiebe.
From Winnipeg, that's right. So from what we know about her, she finished the race in 55 plus hours. She's done a few 100-milers in the U.S. She's been running for just over 10 years.
And this is her big, big dream. She's been trying to get here for 2 years, but because of the pandemic.
Right.
So we can't wait to hear her story. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get to it.
Here's Caroline.
Welcome to the podcast, Caroline Wiebe from Winnipeg.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here. Nice to meet you.
I'm afraid to ask you what's happening outside right now.
I don't really want to know. I'm supposed to be going to work after lunch, so
okay.
It's we were going through a blizzard at the moment.
But that's pretty typical for mid-April in Manitoba, from what I understand.
Yes, it's not unusual. For sure.
Well, welcome to the podcast and congratulations on finishing Marathon Des Sables.
Thank you.
But first, we want to know how everything all started on your whole running journey. So let's go back and tell us how you even started running.
I've been running for around 10 years now, I guess. I've never really was a runner before. I used to play some team sports such as volleyball when in high school and the years after high school. But then, starting a family and things, I just kind of got away from doing sports, and other things became more important, and and just kind of didn't do anything. So I wanted to get back into doing kind of sports or some kind of exercise or something for myself, for my own health. And so I picked up running. I actually hated it in the beginning, but it was the only thing that I could do as far as scheduling with my work and having young kids and everything. So then, the kids were already in school at that time, but still they were having busy schedules of their own, and then mine just always was whenever I had time, and running just seemed to be the fitting sport for that reason. So I picked up running, and I started signing up for events and enjoyed it and kind of got hooked. And that's how it all started.
Cool.
My first run was a 5-kilometer run on Mother's Day with my kids.
Oh, that's nice.
That's a good way to start.
We always like to ask people about races that we haven't either heard of or haven't experienced. So one of the other ones was the Jackpot Ultra in Nevada, which again looked like a fairly flat race, but it's a good place to get your mileage in and get time on feet. I imagine that's one of the parameters that you use to choose events too, based on what you're training for.
I signed up for the 100-mile race, and it was kind of cool because the kids could come and go. They were staying with friends during that time, and they could come and go and see me. It's a looped course. Mm-hmm. That one, I won the second place female on that 100-miler.
Nice.
And, that came to a total surprise because I totally did not race it, and by any means. I just had a really good run in the park that day, and I was very, very surprised when I finished in the morning that they told me I had won second place female in that competition, and that was kind of by fluke. It was positive, a pleasant surprise, but it was sweet. But just had a really good run that night or that day, and then again I went back just before Marathon Des Sables just to kind of, I signed up, didn't sign up for the 100-mile race this time, because they have different events. It's the whole festival going on with all kinds of different distances, up to 48 hours, actually up to 72-hour races. That weekend. It's a whole racing weekend, and you can enter different distances and different times or distance, whatever you choose to sign up for. And I had signed up for the 24 hours simply because I wanted to use it as a training run, time on feet, experiencing some heat coming from Manitoba, just in preparation for Marathon des Sables. And I didn't want to push myself to 100 miles 3 weeks prior to Marathon des Sables, just to prevent injury, because I wanted to use it as a training run. So that's why I signed up for the 24 hours, and I just kind of took my time. I ran 110 kilometers. I could have run a lot more in the 24 hours, but I just took it, played around with my nutrition, experimenting with my food and stuff, and just wanted to have a nice long training run before I went to this next race.
So let's talk Marathon des Sables.
Yeah.
When did this race come on your radar?
Probably early, like I would say about 7 or maybe even 8 years ago, very early on when I started running long distance endurance runs. I had heard about it. And then I was intrigued by it, and I was curious about it. And I thought, well, this is definitely not something I can ever do, because I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm just a regular person that runs for fun and to just joins races randomly when they go on vacation with their kids just to finish. I just like to enjoy the long runs and meet all these people along the way. And to me, time doesn't really matter so much, as long as I can meet the cutoff times and make it to the finish line, healthy and not injured. That's always my goal. But I read about this race, and it was just a dream. I thought, well, this is just a dream that will never come true anyways, but I watched every YouTube video there was out there about this race. And I came across a book from a gentleman who has run the Marathon des Sables multiple times. He lives here in Manitoba.
Oh.
I think at the time he lived in Germany, but he does now live in Manitoba. So I got his book and I read it. It's called Sand in My Shoes. Yeah.
Good name.
What's the author's name?
His name is Albert Martens.
Okay.
And he lives in Manitoba. So I got in contact with him, and we talked about the book, and we talked about his races and stuff. And it just, I always kept putting it on the bucket list. Maybe one day I can do this, but I thought, no, it would be too big of a race for me to tackle, but then he convinced me. He said, like anybody can do that, a race. You put your mind to it, you train for it, prepare for it. You can do it. You can do it too. I thought, okay, I'm gonna do it. And what better time than to treat myself to a 7-day stage race for my 50th birthday. So I
awesome.
thought, I'm going to do it when I turn 50. I'm going to do it for my birthday. And so COVID came and got in the way. So I didn't sign up last year, which is when I turned 50. But then I signed up for it this year. And
did you have to qualify or do any qualifying?
No, you don't need to qualify. No.
Okay.
No, you just need a lot of money and and fill out a lot of forms.
Okay, let's talk about race day. You got there, everything's settled. You registered yourself in, and now everyone's at the start line. What are you feeling? What's going through your mind that you?
A lot of emotion.
Yeah,
a lot of emotion. I was standing at the start line and thinking back all these times I watched this very same event kind of, thing unfold on the videos that I was watching, the music, the announcers, the people, the crowds, the mountains surrounding the desert. And it was just very, very surreal.
I bet.
It was a very emotional moment. And there was this one lady she's from Vancouver, and we were standing beside each other, And she grabbed my arms and she says, "We're here." And I said, "I know, we are starting. This is actually happening." It was a very surreal moment to actually, and I must say, it kind of felt like that almost every day, because we're starting in that same starting line every day, right? Except the one day where we have a 2-day window to finish the long stage. But so 6 times we are in a starting corral, like starting a new day.
Yeah.
That's an interesting about stage racing. You're all just start together and then you get to know each other through the night. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You start out every morning. Everybody has, different abilities, different goals, different reasons why they're there, but everybody is starting the same starting line every morning. Everybody finishes the same finish line at different times, obviously, but then we all end up being back in the same tent for the night, and we can share our, stories that happen throughout the day and stuff, and prepare for the next day.
That's amazing. I can't wait to do a stage race.
Yeah. There's so many stage races happening.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to have a crew to help you prepare each day and all your meals and everything else?
No, you're not allowed to have any crew. You're on your own, and you're self-sufficient with everything.
Okay.
Did you have enough water?
Yes, I always had enough water. I always had leftover water. What I did when we returned, when I crossed the finish line, I get my water. The first thing I would do is fill my bottles for the next morning to start the race. So that was for sure I had enough water. Then I'd put aside the water that I needed for my meals, which was the dinner, first my shake, my dinner, and then the next day breakfast, because I had to cook the oatmeal with water as well. And then I'd kind of see how much water is left for me to drink and how much will I need to drink, before the next morning. And I always had enough water left over to do laundry and wash myself.
So many logistics to think about, you show up to a marathon, you put your bib on, go run. We'll see you at the end,
That's
we'll
right.
Give you water every mile, and we'll see, get your medal and go home. This is like a whole other.
Not only that.
Yeah, and I didn't bring anything to prepare my dehydrated food in intentionally, because it's just one more thing in your backpack that you don't have room for. So what I did is, and almost everyone else did the same, you cut the water bottle in half, and then you just use that, and you eat your food out of a cut off water bottle every day.
When this was your dream, were you aware of the logistics?
Well, I had studied it so much, and yes, I was aware, but I just, you don't really know what it actually is like until you're living it, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And there was a point, where it was super painful and very difficult and hard. And I questioned myself, like, did I really want this that bad? Like, and then I had to remind myself why I was here, like this was something that I wanted, that challenge, I wanted something bigger than just 100-miler where you run 24 hours and go home. Well, okay, it's not just, but you know what I mean? Like, I wanted something bigger. I wanted something different. I wanted a new challenge. And I had to remind myself, this is it. This is a new challenge, and this is a bigger challenge, and this is exactly what I had wanted. And here I am. Now now I'm going to just embrace it, and enjoy what I'm doing,
And what a privilege, really. Yeah. What a privilege that you can sign up to run in the desert for 6 days, struggling with other people. And at the end of the day, of course, you don't regret it. It's an amazing experience, and you're so lucky to have done it. So that
I feel so privileged. Yes,
absolutely.
You're right. Absolutely. It was an incredible journey, to say the least, such an adventure. And I think anybody that ever wants to do something like that, just do it, it's not easy. No, it's definitely not easy, but you will not regret it.
No.
If you want to do a stage race, go for it.
before we get to the end of this race, I want to talk about the hardest day, which I imagine it must have been stage 4, which is
the
80K or something like that.
Yeah, it was almost 86 kilometers.
Yeah, take us through that day.
Yeah, it wasn't my hardest day.
Oh, okay.
No, I kind of like that stuff where you go through the night. You see the sunset and you just keep going, and you're going through the dark, and it gets cold at night and you're just waiting for the sun to rise, I like that. That's why I like the 100 milers so much, I think, is because, you go all day, it gets colder. It's kind of like a new race, but you're still in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The long stage it was difficult. Absolutely. I'm not saying it wasn't difficult. It was very painful at night. My feet were quite blistered and swollen by then. And the shoes were just rubbing so much. And we had to go over so much rock that it really hurt. Like, it was painful, but the worst stage, or the most difficult stage for me, was the stage 2, the second day.
Oh,
I don't know. I hadn't eaten or fueled enough. I had just slightly over 2,000 calories a day, and I hadn't even eaten them all. So, going through these workouts where you're climbing mountains and sand dunes all day long, you're burning way more than 2,000 calories. So you need to put that back in if you want to keep going every day.
Right.
And my nutrition was off. It wasn't where it should have been. And I went into day 2, and day 2 turned out to be the day of the storm. We had a wicked sandstorm. It was just something I had never, ever experienced before. And I don't think I was quite prepared for that. It was like where you lose visibility just because the sand is blasting you so hard, like at 90-kilometer-an-hour winds with sand blowing at your bare skin. My shins were starting to bleed from the sand being from being so sandblasted for so many hours. And caught up, there was a couple of, I think about 6 or 7 of us, and we kind of formed a cluster, and we walked together into the wind. And it was just a small female runner. She was just getting blown away. So we kind of kept her in the center, and then we all kind of huddled around and stayed together so we wouldn't. And that all those hours walking in that sandstorm, I drank very little water because you were so bundled up to protect your face and your eyes and your mouth and nose from the sand and the wind, that I couldn't drink water, or I didn't drink water. And very little. A few times I took some sips, that was it. And I didn't eat anything. So again, the calorie intake was too low, and I ran out of energy. And then towards the end of stage 2, we had to summit a mountain yet. And then we got closer to the mountain. The wind that was blocking the wind, obviously, so the sandblasting stopped. The wind was still strong, and depending on which side you were on, the wind would catch you, but the wind was better. You were a bit protected in there. But then we had to climb up the mountain, and it was so incredibly hot that day, where you really, really started feeling the heat when the wind was gone down, and it's all just rocks. And I'm climbing and climbing, and I was getting pretty shaky, and I was just starting to feel so fatigued. I sat down on a rock, and I realized I was out of water, because when the wind stopped, I drank it all, and then I didn't have any more. And now I got to still get over this mountain and then run it into the finish line a couple of kilometers after the mountain. But then at the bottom of the mountain, when I had to get over the mountain to get to the last checkpoint where I could refill water. And I took a little bit of like a sugary treat that I had. I took that, but it just made me very, very thirsty. The sugar, I guess, gave me some energy, but every time I started to get up, I felt I was going to faint. I felt so shaky and faint that I was super scared that I was going to fall. And the trail was very, very steep and rocky. It wasn't a place where you want to trip or fall.
Mm.
And I actually, got scared, and I thought, no, I cannot let fear get into my head here. Like I got to get up this mountain and up, down the other side. There's no way around it. Something I got to do. Is I just prayed, like, God, let me help me get over this mountain, please. This has to happen.
Wow.
And one of the ladies, she stopped and she says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm out of water and I'm really feeling faint." And she says, "Well, I can give you some water." And the little bit of water she gave me, I poured it on my head because it was burning hot. And then a second lady, two of these ladies, they gave me some water, one that, about a quarter of a bottle to drink. And I sipped on that, and I thought, I'm just going to get up and I'm just going to do this. It's got to happen. So I managed to do it. But that was the hardest stage for me, was stage 2. And then
I guess I'm glad you got that over early.
Early
In the stages. Yeah, you got that. You're over the hump early.
Right. But then when I finished that stage, it looked like a war zone when you got to camp. All the tents were down, they're flying, the storm was still, it was so incredibly windy that there was sand absolutely everywhere in our tent. Like, it's not really a tent, it's just a tarp at the top. Like, it's open all on the sides, like at front and back. It's all open. Okay. You don't have an actual tent where you climb into. It's just a shelter from the sun, a black tarp. And so it was flopping around and barely holding on to those, where it was tied onto the ground and on these metal things that they put in the ground, the spikes.
Yeah. Stakes,
they were just barely holding on. And there was sand absolutely everywhere. There was no way we could cook our dinner that night. Nobody could make a fire.
I can imagine that must have been the day that most people would just drop out.
Yeah, and we had 2 Canadians drop out that day. And that was sad. They still had to sleep in that sandstorm and the tarp with us. And then they got shipped out, or they got taken out with back to civilization. Like, they got taken back to the hotel with a truck the next day. But they still stayed in that storm with us in the tent. Wow. And then, but they already had handed in their numbers.
Before we talk about the last day, I just want to know if you were able to contact family or anybody throughout the night to say how you're doing, or anybody's wondering what's going on with you.
Yeah, you can, at the end of each day, you are, for free, you can go send 1 email a day. That has to be to the same person. So I was sending an email each night home to my husband, and then he would, let my friends and family know how I was doing. So I was able to send a short report at the end of each day, and I was able to receive unlimited emails from whoever, anybody in the world could email me. And people, strangers that follow you, or family or friends, or anybody could email me. The emails got printed and then delivered to our tent at the end of the day. That was the highlight of the night. Everybody's sitting there with tears on their face, and you're reading all your little emails from your family and friends. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, that was nice. You are allowed to email and make phone calls as well, but then you have to pay for them. I never did. I just used 1 little email a day, and that was good.
Did you get any emails from strangers that was, worth noting?
Yes, I did. I was totally unexpected. Like, I thought I would probably get an email from, maybe, my husband, of course, and my family and a few friends, but I got so many emails, and I got emails from complete strangers. And, they're writing, "I know you don't know me, but I've been following you, and I'm so inspired by what you're doing." And so I thought, okay, well, you know what? All these people are inspired and cheering me on. I, just hungry or tired or sore or not, I got to finish this thing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is.
I want to do that next year.
It was.
I want to send the emails. I don't want to do the race. I want to send the emails.
Yeah, you can pick whoever you want and send encouraging emails to an athlete. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Okay, let's take us on your last day You finish the stage and you know that this is going to be over. Take us how to go on the very last stage.
Now, are you talking the marathon day or the fun run day?
The marathon day.
Yeah.
The
marathon day. So after having finished the long stage, the next day is the marathon day. And I wasn't quite sure how that would unfold, because if I would be able to finish in the given time, the marathon, it would depend on how the terrain was, because by then I was slow. I was still doing a pretty good power walk, but I wasn't running at all. And or I hadn't during the long stage. I was mostly just power walking, but the day before the marathon. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do my best and hope for the best. And it was actually a lot less elevation than I had expected it to be on the marathon, which there was so many runnable sections. And my heels being so incredibly blistered, and when I power walk, I heel strike. So now there being runnable sections, I was, running. When you run, I'm more on my forefoot. So I was giving my heels a break, and I actually ran most of the marathon, like at a slow pace. And then the sand dunes, of course, hiked them. But the rest, I was doing a slow pace. I just kind of paced myself, and I stayed at that slow running pace with my assistance with my poles, and that made it easier and less painful to actually be running. And I felt good. I felt really good through the marathon stage. It was I kept saying, this is it. If I finish at the end, I'll get my medal and I'll be done, like it's already the last day, and or the second last day. And somehow the 7.7 kilometers the next day just seemed like nothing, and it already feels like this is it, And it was really, really a nice day. I met so many people that I had met throughout the week, and then we come across each other again on that last marathon stage. Either I passed them or they passed me, and we exchanged some words of encouragement and congratulations pretty much the whole day. It's to me, it felt like the marathon day went by very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
It must have been so emotional when you crossed the finish line. Was a part of you just sad that it was over? It
was kind of, in a way, it was sad that it's already over. And in a way, it was such a relief too. It is over, and it's actually here, like it's I've actually done it. I've accomplished it. It was, tons and tons of emotion. The race director, put the medal around my neck, and he gave me this big hug, and I just, started bawling, and I'm just crying, and he just kept hugging me, and he talked, I don't speak French, and he just kept talking on and on in French. I have no clue what he said, but he was talking, he grabbed my face, and he talked to me in French, and my tears are just rolling, and he was just like such a nice man. Yeah.
Well, congratulations again. You completed it in just over 55 hours.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. Would you ever do it again?
I definitely would. I don't know if I would go back to the same race, like to Morocco, just simply because I'm already 50, and there's so many other races and parts of the world to explore as well. And exactly. I'd like to just experience, different parts of the world and see different things and stuff. But I for sure would do it again. Yeah.
What other stage races are you thinking about? Perhaps Trans Rockies or anything like that?
I have not. I don't know. I don't have a stage race bucket list right now. This was just the only one. But now that like I've done one, I'm definitely going to go look into other ones. There is another one. I believe it's maybe even associated with this one. It's in Chile.
Ah,
yeah. So, and I am from South America. I thought, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same format. It's 7 days, 6 stage races, 250 kilometers. I did a little bit of reading about it, very, very little, but The one thing that they do is they boil your water at the end of the day, so you don't have to make your own fire.
Sign me up.
That's the only thing that I know so far. So, who knows? Maybe I'll go to Chile next.
Is that a mountain race? Is that over mountains?
Yeah, I think it's this kind of the same. Some flat, some mountains.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, before we let you go, we're going to do a couple rapid fire questions just for fun.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, here we go. 70s or 80s music?
70s.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
That is one question I was going to ask, actually. Did you get to have a beer at the buffet at least?
Yeah. After the race?
After the race.
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Good.
we had a few.
Do you have any tattoos?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Are you going to get a tattoo for MDS?
No.
Maybe? No? Okay.
I'm thinking about getting one inspired by endurance racing, but not specifically MDS. No.
Okay. What's your favorite junk food?
Don't have a favorite. Chips, maybe?
Chips? Okay. What's the last concert you went to?
Bon Jovi?
Ah, okay.
In the 80s?
No, not that long ago.
Oh, since your first language is not English, I assume it's Spanish.
Actually, it's German.
Oh, German. Okay.
I grew up in a Spanish country, so I grew up bilingual, but first language is German.
So what's your favorite curse word in German, Caroline?
Scheiße.
Oh, that sounds good.
I like that one.
What does it mean?
Shit.
Shit. Okay. And finally, pick a superpower other than being able to run for 250 kilometers straight.
A superpower. You guys are making this hard.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know, to be able to fly?
Yeah.
It's a popular one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Or transport from race to race without having to fly on a
Yeah.
plane. And
Right.
it's all, or even the able to regenerate yourself, get your
Yeah.
every day's
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
feels brand new.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you again. This has been awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me, and it was great to meet you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was Caroline. Her dreams came true.
Yes, they sure did. I don't know about you, but I think that sandstorm would have sunk me.
Well, when she was explaining the sandstorm, how they all huddled together, it was like March of the Penguins in the desert. But I guess Antarctica is a desert too. So.
Yeah, it is.
And they're trying to protect the little baby one.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going to be with her next venture, but I'm looking forward to hear what she has to say.
Well, she's going to have to outdo herself.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, and if you like what we had to say today, give us a review, subscribe, follow, all those good things.
Cheers.